If you love your work, why would you ever want to stop? The hidden problem with hustle culture's newest message. Hello, everyone. I'm Allison Batty Capps of Blossoming Heart Wellness. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, a yoga therapist, a Reiki master, and a spiritual mentor. And today I want to talk about a message I've been seeing more frequently in articles, business culture, and social media. If your work is truly interesting, you'll want to think about it after hours. If you can shut your laptop at 5 p.m. and completely disconnect, maybe your work isn't meaningful enough. At first glance, these sound inspiring, but I think there's a deeper conversation we need to have, not from a place of shame, not from a place of hierarchy, but from a trauma-informed understanding of what it means to be human. The problem isn't loving your work. So let's start there. There is absolutely nothing wrong with loving your work. In fact, I think many of us aspire to find jobs that we do enjoy. I happen to love my work. I think about healing, trauma, spirituality, psychology, neuroscience, and human growth all the time. I read about it. I write about it. I create content about it. I work with clients around these areas, and I genuinely find it fascinating. So this is not a critique of passion. It's a critique of what happens when passion becomes a measure of your worth. Because the moment one of us says, if you can disconnect, maybe your work isn't interesting enough, we create hierarchy. Now, people who work long hours are seen as more passionate, more committed, more successful, more meaningful, better. And people who want balance or want to be able to enjoy the other aspects of life become seen as less ambitious, less dedicated, less engaged. This isn't wisdom, that's a value judgment. So what does psychology teach us? Well, one of the most important things that psychology teaches us is that people have different needs, different personalities, different nervous systems, different capacities. Some people genuinely feel energized working 12 hours. Others feel depleted after 4 or 6. Neither person is wrong. Neither person is more evolved. Neither person is more successful. They are different human beings with different needs. Yet our culture often acts as though there is one correct way to engage with work. And usually that correct way involves doing more. So what does neuroscience teach us? Neuroscience gives us another important piece, that the human nervous system was not designed for constant output. It was designed for cycles: engagement, recovery, action, rest, focus, integration. Growth doesn't happen during activation alone. Growth happens during recovery. Memory consolidation happens during rest. Learning deepens during integration, and integration happens during rest. Creativity often emerges when we stop forcing solutions and allow ourselves to just be. Some of the most important breakthroughs in science, art, healing happen when people step away from work, not when they push harder. So what does trauma teach us? Well, this is where I think the conversation becomes especially important. Many people have learned to derive safety, worth, belonging, or identity from productivity, from work. Sometimes work becomes more than just work. It becomes proof that we matter, proof that we are enough, proof that we deserve love, proof that we are intelligent. And when that happens, it can become very difficult to tell the difference between I love my work and I don't know what I am without my work. Those are not the same thing. A trauma-informed perspective invites us to become curious rather than judgmental. So what is driving our relationship with work? Is it passion? Is it fear? Is it purpose? Is it identity? Is it avoidance? Healing begins when we ask those questions honestly and we don't predispose our answers onto others. So what does spirituality teach us? Well, many spiritual traditions remind us that our worth is inherent. We are not valuable because of how much we produce. We are not valuable because of how many hours we work. We are not valuable because we are constantly optimizing ourselves. We are valuable because we exist. The deepest spiritual teachings rarely tell us to become productivity machines. They invite us instead to become presence, connection, compassion, meaning, service, love. And none of those require us to be working all the time. So what is the bigger cultural problem? Well, what concerns me most is that our culture often glorifies over-identification with work. We celebrate burnout as dedication. We celebrate exhaustion as commitment. We celebrate constant productivity as success. Then we wonder why people are anxious, depressed, and lonely, why they're exhausted, why they feel disconnected from themselves, why they're suicidal. Maybe the goal isn't to make work the center of our lives. Maybe the goal is to create lives that are rich enough that work becomes one meaningful part of a larger whole. Instead of asking, is my work interesting enough that I never want to stop thinking about it? What if we ask, does my life feel meaningful? Because meaningful lives include meaningful work, meaningful relationships, meaningful rest, meaningful creativity, meaningful spirituality, meaningful community, meaningful play. The answer does not have to be all work or no work. Before we end, I'd like to invite in a brief reflection. So I invite you to take a moment to ask yourself, when I imagine taking a full day away from work, what arises inside me? Is it relief, joy, guilt, anxiety, fear, restlessness? Notice whatever shows up. Without judgment, without trying to change it, simply become curious, accepting, and compassionate. Then ask, if my worth did not depend on productivity, how would I want to spend my life energy? Not what should I do? Not what would impress people. What would genuinely nourish me? Allow yourself to sit with this question, because sometimes the most important healing work isn't learning how to do more. Sometimes it's learning that we are allowed to be human in all its complexity. Thank you for being here. And if this resonated, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What messages about work, success, and worth were you taught growing up? And how are you defining them today? And if you want to go deeper, I invite you to read my book, The Divine Within, Healing Ourselves to Heal the World, or go to my website, blossomingheartwellness.com, to learn more about how to work with me, or to learn more about my online courses, or my upcoming book, Self-Love. And I'm sending you deep love and appreciation for who you are, no matter what your beliefs are about work and rest.